Wow, that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to Platinum Explosion, the Explosion Network's #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. And you're right. You are very right. This is not the voice of one Dylan Viva Blight. And I can guarantee
you're all saying thank God.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. It's the man himself, the prodigal son. It is Ciaran Margin here bringing you Platinum Explosion. And I am not joined by Ashley Hobley. Kicked that one off the show as well. I have the Lord of the Explosion Network, Lord Empire, Nicholas Pryor himself.
Here I am. I'm present, ready to take over.
He is. We've had a freaking busy weekend. If you haven't been able to catch up, go check everything on Explosion Network for all of our PAX coverage. Cherie, Dylan, Ash, and myself were able to attend PAX in Melbourne. And we had a blast. We had a really good time. We were really, really all over the place and exhausted. But I was the one that was like, you guys, Ash and Dylan, Dylan, you're not even back in Tassie yet. Ash, you're flying home right now. He's either in the sky currently in our world, or
I saw on Twitter that he got his bag first go around.
He got his bag first go around. Oh my! Mind a side plot. Standing in front of the carriage carousel thing for like 10 minutes, watching the same two bags. When I'd previously commented on how much it sucks if you're somebody with a really generic looking bag that's black. And Ash is like, oh, I've got a really generic black-looking bag. And I'm like, okay. And we stand in front of the carousel for 10 extra minutes while this blue case goes round and this grey case, or this like weird, it was like a grey. And at one point, we kept there around. There was no more bags coming off the plane. And I literally said, Ash, are you sure that grey one's not yours? And he picks it up and he goes, oh, yeah, it is. Oh, it looked black in the dark.
Everything looks fucking black in the dark.
I'm just like, come on, like, oh. But no, they're both either doing their own thing or chilling or recuperating. Ash had some big nights, I'm telling you. Nick and audience. Ash was probably the partier of the four of us.
Wowzers! I did not expect that.
Friday night, we all went out together. Saturday night, I was like, I think we're going to a Twitch party Sunday night, so I'm not going to go hard tonight. I'm going to go back to the hotel, order myself a dozen Krispy Kremes, and thanks Uber Eats, by the way, and get, Ash was like, nah, I'm going to go hang out with some friends of the show, and I was like, okay, sure. He came back in at midnight. Then last night, I'm just like, it literally got to the end of PAX. We did some extra recording for PAX finished at 6. We left the exhibition hall at 7:30 when we'd finished recording all of our extra content.
Putting in that work, and then and then we decided when we got some food, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to go out. I don't feel like going out.
Ashley's like there looking for options, messaging the people, and I'm like, boy, oh boy, this kid. He must just save all of his just energy for that one weekend. And then
we did learn at Extra Life last year. He does know how to scull a beer.
He knows how to scull a beer, that one. But enough of that. Enough. PAX was really fun. PlayStation's reputation at PAX was probably the best, I would say, in my opinion, the best out of the big three.
I'd agree. It's the most I saw of it.
Yeah. Too. Nintendo did have Smash there and Let's Go Pokemon, but, whatever. And Microsoft had some minor cool things, but not a big. But PlayStation's featured Spyro. It featured a whole bunch of VR games. It also featured Days Gone, and I got a chance to play Days Gone. Unlike Dylan and Ash, who both booked in to play Days Gone on the Friday, no booking system for Days Gone. We didn't expect, if you heard the show last week, we didn't expect Days Gone to be at PAX this year in a playable format. And it wasn't until Thursday night they got a code, or they got the okay to use the code at the convention center. So, there's me watching esports, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go for a walk. I'll come back to the esports in a little bit. Next thing I know, Paul James, friend of the show from Player2.net, I see him in the Days Gone line. He goes, "Oi, come here." And I went, "What?" And he goes, "Do you want to play Days Gone with me? I'm waiting. I should be in line. Should be about an hour." And I'm like, "Oh, whatever. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll wait in line." Before we knew it, it was 2 hours later, and we were going inside to play Days Gone. I got to check out, it was the E3 demo for the game. So I had, it was much of what was being shown already. There was 2 different modes you could pick out of. You could pick out of the story mode for like a kind of a story mission. It wasn't really story mode. If you check out our video coverage on Days Gone, Dylan complained quite a bit about the story mode. I didn't actually play the story mode at all.
Yeah.
There didn't seem like there would be much story. And guess what? No story. Like zero, like minimal story and stuff in that. But I got to mess around with there was a challenge that you started in an open area, but in the center of this pit was a horde of freakers. Horde didn't do anything until you started attacking them.
Yep.
And then all hell broke loose. Like the moment you started, and you start it with like Molotovs, napalm, machine gun, a shotgun. But I found out very late in my time, and if I'd found this out earlier, I would have killed the horde. Was remote like proximity traps that you could put like proximity mines.
So you had an opportunity at the beginning to set up traps and stuff.
Yeah, so you had this opportunity to set up traps. They were in this pit, and they kind of had like a lane that they could, if you led them up there, run up this lane, and there was barrels of explosives and everything. And the moment you set the horde off, a health bar appeared at the top of the screen to tell you how much of the horde was remaining. Right. Like how much of the horde you had left to kill.
I wonder if you can turn that off, because just hearing that makes me go, oh, like, is the visual representation of the horde not enough to know how much you've done?
I think you could turn it off. I hope you could turn it off. I didn't really look at the health bar that much I only did when I was either starting to panic or what I had to do next.
Yeah.
Because for what I played, the AI for the freakers is probably the best zombie AI I've ever played against in a game.
Yeah, well, now you mention it, I can't remember a zombie game where I've gone, oh, the AI is really good with this.
Yeah, no, like normally the AI is pretty stupid, and you could probably, and then maybe the Left 4 Dead series came close at sometimes, but
now I'll say it, Undead Nightmare for Red Dead Redemption 1.
Yep, and I think there was still some kind of limitations, and I think
jankiness and stuff.
Jankiness, and a lot of games when they try and do a quote-unquote horde of something, or a horde of zombies, you can very much tell that it is like a one-minded kind of like blob of bodies kind of running at you. The Days Gone horde did not feel like that at all. Oh. Like, it was like, so say if I tried to make distance, the easiest way to make distance is try and climb over something. So I'd climb up on top of like an abandoned truck and try and jump over the other side. Some of the horde would start climbing up the truck to get to me, but then the horde would separate, and half the horde would start running around the truck to try and cut me off at the other side. So the horde didn't operate as if it was just one mindless unit. It operated like... And, like, the moment the horde caught up with me, I was screwed. So you pretty much have to do whatever you can to put gaps and put distance between you and the horde. Find little nooks and crannies you can climb through, jump through hoops, or not hoops, but different areas. And I had a lot of fun with it. I had a real lot of fun with it. The only thing that I laughed at was the little kind of build-up beforehand was where the PlayStation person kind of talks to you about what's happening in the demo. The PlayStation guy was like, oh, by the way, guys, do remember, this did get pushed back, but not for development reasons. This got pushed back because we want to give you the best experience when it comes out and not have much else to play. And I laughed because I've called bullshit on that since day one. There's no way. There were significant frame drops while I was playing. Like, there were sections where I had significant frame drops happen. Some of the controls don't feel 100% there. I also think it was because I'd been playing Assassin's Creed a lot before. Like, that was the last PlayStation game. So there's always that thing where, and I hate it. I wish they would just make a universal standard for the sprint button. Because in Assassin's Creed, it was hold X. Hold X to sprint. In
Spider-Man, it's R2.
In other games, it's holding the left stick to kind of do it. So there was many times where I was like holding X in while trying to run away, and my character was not sprinting, and I'd be like, "Oh wait, fuck, righto." But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It's not. There's a lot of polish that needs to go into that game before it can be released, in my opinion. I think
a bit
Dylan,
worrying considering.
yeah, Dylan and there's something up there,
Yeah.
and Dylan and Ashley kind of had the same kind of thought and theory when it came to it. So check out the Days Gone video that we did put up. It's pretty funny. The start of it's actually amazing. It's gold. But check that out. Check how we talked about that. But, well, I don't know if you know this, Nick, but while on Friday, there was last week was a big kind of a big week for games.
It was?
There was like this little indie game that came out on Friday that somehow everybody's playing that we'll talk about in a little while, about cowboys and aliens or some shit.
Yep.
But, you know, people, you're probably going to get if you want your VR content, I'm not going to be the man. Unless, Nick, have you done any VR lately? Anything you want to, anything like that?
No.
The VR guru himself, Dylan, played some VR at PAX, and so did Ashley. And if you want to check out any of that VR stuff, go over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Explosion Network, and check all their reviews. VR looked cool. They played Tetris. I watched Dylan play Tetris. He used the excuse that the controller made him bad at it.
Oh, right.
But, you know, he was bad. But we got to check out a whole range. So that's probably all I'm going to cover for PAX on this episode. If you want to check out more PAX stuff, go over to theexplosionnetwork.com. Go look at all that stuff. It's all good stuff. We did some really hard work, and we're really proud of it. So
No, it's all very good work.
now, before we get into that little indie game that's coming out, earlier in last week, and it kind of, I guess, because of the indie game's kind of hype,
Yep.
it kind of led to this other thing being a little bit. And you managed to play through The Heist, which is the Spider-Man DLC that came out.
I did.
You did. There was a look of shock that he'd forgotten all about it.
I
probably.
did.
It was a whole thing, and I loved Spider-Man. I finished Spider-Man. It's, you know, it's one of the, I don't finish games very often, so
yeah.
Obviously I must have loved Spider-Man a lot. I haven't got around to playing the DLC yet. How is the DLC?
It's good. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, but it's good. Like, I've managed to 100% it. It's, I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention, but I thought it was 3 separate DLCs, but this is like a first episode and a story told over the 3 DLCs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it ends on a cliffhanger. So you're like, oh, I want more, but it's also very short. It took me 2.5 hours to do everything, and a majority of the time was a few of the districts have more crimes, and there's another collectible and more challenges to do, and most of the time spent doing that. But yeah, it was told very well, I think. Like, the storytelling's up to snuff to the main story. Not as good, but it's still very good. And Black Cat, I mean, she's amazing.
She's amazing. Okay, here we go. And so, for those that haven't seen it, the Heist is what the DLC is called. It is a role, well, the way it was sold was that it was about the story of Black Cat and Peter Parker coming, like Black Cat returning to the city. We had some Black Cat stuff in the main game, in the main story.
It was just basically another collectible.
Yeah, which was another collectible that ended up with you finding a suit.
Yeah.
I thought, I was a little disappointed when I only heard that it led to a suit. I thought it was going to lead more into what the DLC was. So
I think there's a reference to it, but it's not a major part of it.
But it's not a major part of it. So we had that, and we have the whole, you know, we have Black Cat return. And so a lot of people I've said with the writing of Black Cat, I've seen a lot of people flying the flag for why is Peter with Mary Jane when Black Cat is this great? Are you of the same mindset, or?
No, Peter and Mary Jane are definitely meant to be together, but she is thick.
Is thick? Is that thick with two C's?
That's the name of
right.
Around.
Okay.
But just even not so much the story that's being told, but the way that they interact with each other, Peter, MJ, Black Cat, like, you can tell it feels like there's real history there, and the way they play off each other and interact, like you can tell it feels like a real relationship as opposed to, I don't know, like a typical game relationship, I guess.
And I guess I don't know about how it's written for this Spider-Man's universe, but in previous Spider-Man universes, Black Cat is kind of the outlet for Peter's kind of like rougher teenage years, or where he's not sure of who he is, and he kind of like goes through a lot with Black Cat in the comic books. Is that kind of that history still there, or does it kind of open? They
don't really go deeply into their kind of their history together. Like they briefly mentioned that Black Cat was trying to go good, so Peter helped her, and then she fucked him over and left. She reminds me a lot of Selena Kyle from the Telltale Batman.
Yep.
The same kind of motivations and all that kind of
they've
stuff.
always been that thing. Like there's even me now. There's when introducing Black Cat, I always want to call her Selena Kyle. I don't want to call her Felicity, which is her real name. Yeah. And there are the very similarities between the two characters, but I am happy. I'm interested that it's the DLCs are kind of all in one story. Like it's one. That's interesting because the way it was sold, I thought, was episodic, like almost like just little chunks of little missions or little adventures that Spider-Man was a part of. Because I can remember, I think the second one is hinted at being a lot about Silver Sable. I believe
the title
was hinted at something to do with Silver Sable. So I'm sure we do that. So it was good overall. The audience should invest their 2 hours of time if they've played Spider-Man.
I don't know if it's enough to satiate the hunger for it, especially if you're not into Red Dead. I would honestly almost prefer wait till them all to come out and mainline it in one go. Okay.
And so, did it add any collectibles or anything, or were just because it added 3-4 new suits?
It did. There's one mission where you, for a police officer, you go around and find all the hidden art that the original Black Cat hidden around. So that's a collectible. So they're like paintings and stuff that you find all around the city. But that's the only collectible. There's not every district has it. So there's only like, I want to say 4 districts have more crimes and challenges and stuff. So there's a lot of the, like Harlem up the top isn't used. The financial district down the bottom. One on the left side of the city, and like Chinatown, like you don't go there at all. So it's not like they've jam-packed more side stuff to do all over the city, so it's kind of localized.
Yeah, and I could guess that it's probably going to build that they'll probably, those districts that haven't been used will probably be used later on in when like in the other DLCs to kind of, instead of just adding more kind of side quests or like collectibles throughout the map, they'll just add bits and pieces here and there.
Which I think is a good way to do it, because if you do choose to wait until they all come out, it would be so overwhelming if it's just 3 lots of just more shit piled on all over the city.
Yeah, and those things that Dylan and people really like, those trophies. Trophies, is that what they're called? How is it with any noticeable trophies, or did you manage to clear out all the trophies?
I got them all. They're fairly easy. Like you get most of them by just doing all the content. The other ones you may have trouble with are the challenges, but I found them fairly easy once you got the gist of it, because they're Screwball, which her shtick is like streaming everything to her fans and stuff, and there's, when you're doing the challenge, there's a spotlighted area where you go to, and if you do all the moves in there, you get extra bonus points, kind of like showing off for the camera.
Yep. Okay. So collectibles galore again once more tales from the Spider-Man universe. Looks like it sounds like Spider-Man is still going in a good direction with its
good
DLC.
Value for $30 for the whole pass, I think.
Exactly. $30 for the whole pass, unless you bought the special edition, I think, or the digital deluxe edition. Definitely got the season pass for it. So make sure you go back. Maybe not when, because this indie game that keeps popping up.
Oh, sorry, I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah, go
the
for
suits are absolute garbage.
Suits are garbage. Do they add any more like cool powers? Or?
No, they're just cosmetic.
Are you a Raimi person? Do you want the Raimi suits to be added?
I honestly don't think, like, it'd be cool to see it, but I'm not a massive advocate for it.
Thank God.
I don't know how it would transfer into the digital medium, because it's very like raised and textured on the screen. Yeah.
Yep, no. So that is the Heist, the Spider-Man DLC that's just come out last Monday. Make sure you go check it out when you have a moment, maybe on a couple hours of relaxation in between playing a different game that we'll go on to now. Nick, you played this while the rest of us were at PAX, so if you haven't heard, people, and if you haven't, I don't know what you've been doing for 12 months, but little indie game called Red Dead Redemption 2 was released Friday. Well, if you were in America, it got released like the same time. Like there was still Thursday night their time they were getting the game.
No, I believe we got it first. It released their midnight.
Yeah, mid.
Yeah.
Well, I saw rumbling around about.
They do it weird. It's not like here where it's midnight all over Australia. So they do it midnight Eastern, then I think it's like 9 o'clock Western. Yeah. So it's all the same time. Yeah.
Time zones. You know, as I said with, organising this episode with Nick when I was extremely tired, was like, oh yeah, Nick's in a different time zone than me. I'll let him choose the time. Yeah, nah, Nick's in the same time zone. I was so ruined yesterday. It's fine. So Red Dead Redemption 2, you've had a chance. I've tried to keep myself away from it so that the experience isn't too tarnished for me.
Yep, that's fine.
I'm having an internal conflict at the moment of where I'm getting the game. I haven't purchased it yet on a platform, and I'm hearing mixed things about different consoles being amazing on it. But what we do have is the game itself, and I've managed to read a couple of things. How have you gone with the experience so far? How far are you into it, Nick?
I want to say I'm a good 15 hours into it, and I reckon I'm still doing tutorial stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
far out.
a lot of it's self-imposed too, because like I'd do a story mission, then I'd go off and fuck off, I'll go hunting and doing all that kind of stuff, and come back and like it'll introduce another little thing like as you progressively go along. It's not like it's teaching you the basics of the games, but it's just adding a little thing you can do on top each time. But yeah, I'm loving it. Like I think I'm only, I don't know, last time I looked I was only like 12% into the story, I want to say.
Yep, and I've read that the percentage for the story has been separated from the actual
It has, so yeah, so when you go
percentage.
into, there's an option in the menus called, I think it might be story or progression or something like that. It's like story progression, then progression for all the other kind of challenges and side quests and all that kind of stuff, which I think is a good way to look at it too, in my opinion, instead of tying it all into one.
Yeah,
because a lot of it's misleading, because you play a lot of open world games, you go, oh, I've done 60%, but you're on the last mission of the game, so it's kind of like, oh.
I actually hate percentages.
So
I really hate percentages in games, because there's a lot of games where I've played in the past that I've smashed out a whole bunch in like the opening weekend or the opening week.
Yeah.
And I open up the percentage, and the percentage is way higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I stop playing the game because I'm like,
I don't want it to be over yet.
I don't want it to be over yet. I don't want to, I don't want it to be over so quickly. And then I don't go back. And and it's so bad. Like, I just don't go back to them.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
So I'm glad that they separated the story from the completion. I think that's kind of good. So I think the word I've seen used the most about this game is realism.
Yes.
Is the attention to detail that Rockstar have gone through to implement as many kind of realistic prospects and aspects of the game. What do you think of that so far, Nick?
Well, I can speak to there's one part that can happen, like if you're hunting with a bow and you shoot a deer, if you don't get it a kill shot, it will like cry and yelp and bleed out on the ground, and it is so gut wrenching. It's like you feel so bad for it, and you just feel so fucking real. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's, say, if you go into town, because you get a bandana to hide your identity. Mm-hmm. So you go into town, you rob a store and go away and escape the law. If you come back with your bandana down, they can still recognise you if you're in the same clothes and you're riding the same horse. So even though they don't know your identity, if you come back wearing all the same gear, they put two and two together and realise that you're the guy that they're after.
Okay, that's good. That's one of the. I think that always makes me think back to Oblivion. You got a mask that you could put on once you completed the Thieves Guild.
Yeah.
And you could literally remove the mask in front of the soldier, like the enemy guards, and they would like just forget who you are instantly.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's good. That's really good.
Well, I've seen a lot of people complaining that the mask doesn't work, but it does work provided you come to it with a kind of logical thought train as opposed to a gamey thought train. And like, granted, it doesn't go out of its way to explain that to you either. So you kind of have to kind of figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm really surprised about, because we have GTA, we have the ironic kind of political satire of that game.
Yeah.
Rockstar seems to take it a very different progression with Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, it's very more serious in tone.
More serious in tone, but it seems from what I've seen and the little bit I've seen and what I've read, they want you to live out your life as Arthur. Like they want you to live Arthur's life. They don't just want you to, go from mission to mission and randomly. Like they want you to eat, to clean yourself, to go hunting and look after that.
Yeah, like if you go and get all dirty and muddy and stinky, like you have to bathe, or like townspeople turn their nose up at you, they don't want to serve you or anything like that. You have to eat, but it's because the way the health system works is you have a core health level, and then you have the health around it, and depending on the level of the core determines how quickly your health regenerates, and you need to eat. And there's like one of them for health, stamina, and deadeye, and you have to eat and do all that kind of stuff and take care of yourself to keep those cores maintained.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who weren't prepared for this gameplay, or maybe aren't realizing that this is the type of gameplay in this game, are starting to call the game either too slow in its pacing, or that it's very much not the kind of high-speed gameplay that we're used to nowadays.
Yeah, don't go into this expecting GTA on horseback. Which, in a way, Red Dead 1 was also slower than GTA, but it also had kind of that feeling to it, where this
it still felt like you could still...
want you to slow down. Like, there is very minimal fast travel. Like, they want you to live in this world, experience, know what it felt like to live in that time.
Yeah, and it continues the story... it's the prequel to the story of Red Dead Redemption 1, with the protagonist from that game, John Marston, being involved in this one. I think the interesting thing for me as well, very much enjoying the character writing and the story itself, is hearing the interaction with not just random NPCs and people around the place, how much you can interact with them, but the interaction to detail of the gang that Arthur is involved with. I don't know if you've gotten to the point in the game, but apparently there's several points in the game where the gang has like a party or a get together.
Yep, I've experienced one party so far.
You've experienced one party, and I don't know what you did with that party. I've read a lot of people advising take your time with the game. Take your time, especially with these parties. Go around and interact with people and listen to their stories and be a part of the party, because there's apparently you could probably just go to sleep and just like kind of skip over the party's events and everything.
You have a tent in the camp, and you just sleep through everything if you wanted to.
Yeah, and I think the range of details that they have gone through in this one, I really do appreciate and I like. Are there any negatives for you so far in Red Dead?
Before I go into the negatives, I also want to say something about the gang and stuff too. Like, every time you go in, people come up to you, they talk to you, and you have a like short interaction with people, and every interaction that I've ever had with any of the characters is unique, and it all feels real, like that they're a family, they've been together for years, and they're surviving through all this stuff together. Like, it all feels so very genuine. Yeah,
it'll feel genuine for you, that it is those people wanting to get to know Arthur, or wanting to be a part of Arthur's life, or to be there. I know there's a lot of upkeep involved in the camp and stuff, and their relationship.
There is upkeep to be done, but also you can neglect it, and I don't think there's a whole lot of negative either.
No. I'm guessing for story reasons they're not going to kick you out of the game.
Because like, basically, there's like a medical tent, a armory kind of tent, and like a provisions tent. Like you can keep stocked up, but in my experience, I'm the only one that's ever utilized those kind of things. Like if you keep them stocked up, you can get ammo from your camp and healing items and food and stuff.
Yep.
But if you don't do it, like the gang hasn't like said, oh, I'm going to starve unless you bring food or anything.
And
like
I
that.
like the extent of like the re-equipping and the feeling like your presence and your equipment has value in the world. Where like I've heard of people having like they've left their horse alone while they've walked off and gone hunting, and then come back to have found their saddlebag stolen and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Do they? Yeah. I've read to extent of that where people have lost possessions because they've just kind of left their horse lying around, like not lying around, but stood somewhere in nature. I really like the feel of the importance everything has in the world, or like it seems to be.
If your horse dies, you feel like absolute shit because you spend hours building up a rapport with it and learning and creating basically a friendship with it, and just the amount of time and connection you have with the horse too. Like, if it dies, you feel a true sense of loss.
And you have like I've heard like the first 2 hours of the game are even just a little bit slower than the rest of the game, or
They are.
more...
The first... I want to say the main tutorial section is very linear and it's slow. Like, or minor story spoilers, after a thing goes bad that you don't get to experience in Blackwater, you and the gang like go up into the mountains where there's a blizzard come through and you're stuck up there and you have to kind of like survive for a few days until it blows over.
Yeah. So you get to experience that. Now, going into... do you have negatives about this game? Is there things that...
There are a few negatives that I've experienced. First is, by all reports, HDR is broken everywhere.
I've only heard HDR on PlayStation being broken.
I've read everywhere myself, but like I can only say from my experience, but having it on, everything is washed out. So like all the colours are muted and the details lost, but if you turn it off, it becomes subtly more vibrant and it's a lot more atmospheric and stuff. So I don't know if that's something they can patch or anything like that.
They should be able to do a lot of things
until
like
you
that.
hear otherwise, play with it off.
Play with it off? Okay,
Yeah.
good start.
And the controls are very hard to get used to as well, because especially coming from Spider-Man and Assassin's Creed, which I've played a lot recently, where you're running around, you're jumping over things, and you're doing everything you want to. And like in Spider-Man, you can basically button mash your way through the game, where the way Arthur controls is very deliberate. He has weight. Like, you have to be mindful of where you put him and what you try and climb over. And the controls are also kind of, in a way, deliberate to make you feel, I guess, a connection to what you're doing. Like, where normally in a shooter you would hold, like, L2 to bring up your gun and do whatever. First, with this one, with your gun hold, you hold L2 and then you have all your interaction stuff, and then you press another button again to draw your gun and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to get used to because it's so unique. I haven't experienced a control system quite like it before. Okay. But once you get your head around it, it works, but it is very difficult especially when you're coming from Assassin's Creed and Spider-Man's and all those kind of looser, more, I guess, more handholdy type of control systems, I guess.
Yeah, of course. And that goes back to that realism that they've put, even to the extent of, with the guns, you have to maintain your guns and clean them. And
otherwise they lose, like, damage and durability and stuff like that.
Exactly. And I think for you, knowing you and knowing the style of games you play, I think it would be a lot easier for you to make this transition than your average gamer that doesn't really...
I would say that. Yeah.
That doesn't get to play this. So I'm interested to hear from I guess, the general public and the overall consensus, because what we saw when the game was, the embargo was lifted, was everybody was saying this game's amazing, this game's absolutely a masterpiece. And then there are those little voices of people being like, well, can we talk about the controls? Can we talk about this or that? And it's interesting to see that. So I'm excited to pick it up. I don't know when I'm going to pick it up. I don't know if I'm going to rush out tomorrow and go grab it, if I want to spend more time with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because I know the moment I grab Red Dead, that will get shelved. That will get pushed to the side And knowing me, who knows when I'm going back to that. And I love Odyssey. I have such a special place in my heart for that game currently, just because of I really enjoy the story, and I really like Greek culture, and Greek mythology is my jam when it comes to history. So for that game, I'm still umming and ahhing, but it's really good to see the amount of people picking up. I was talking to a friend of the show, a friend of us at PAX. EB Games were expecting to sell something like 15,000 copies at PAX over the weekend.
Of Red Dead or Assassin's Creed?
Of Red Dead.
Right.
Of Red Dead. They were, because Red Dead was released Friday, they had so many copies of Red Dead at their mega store at PAX because, you know, many people probably coming to PAX, they're not going to get a chance to play the game. Did you have any issues with the large install of the game? Or
That was... I wouldn't say I had an issue with it, but it was very jarring because I had left work early sick to pick it up early. And I got home, I want to say, about 8:30, 8:45, and I didn't start playing until maybe 10:30. Like the 2-disc install was very jarring because I haven't experienced anything like that on PS4 previously.
Yep. And then I think it goes, the first disc is the installation, then it needs the second disc to run it? Is that
Yes.
correct?
So the first disc is your data disc, and the next one play disc, they call it.
Yep,
Where
that's
a lot
interesting.
of the installed data is on the first one.
And I'm interested to see, because as I always am, I'll get it digitally.
Yeah.
I won't have that experience. I won't have that issue, I hope. I hope it's like, this install file is the data install file, and now you have to install the play file. I'll be like, that sucks. I'm interested. I'm really glad that Rockstar has taken the time to, A, delay Red Dead Redemption Online.
Yep.
Delay that so they can put effort into that.
I always remember the first... Like, I tried to get on day one of GTA Online.
Same.
And
it was garbage.
Yeah.
It was absolute garbage.
Yeah. On the off chance that I did manage to connect, it all ran like shit.
And that was also delayed. That was like a week or two after after
like
GTA
maybe
was released.
A fortnight after the game released.
Yeah, like that. I remember that being delayed.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what they do with Red Dead Online, because a lot of the things from the single player campaign of GTA didn't transition over to GTA Online.
No.
A lot of like the minor things didn't transfer. And my biggest worry, and it's a worry I've seen iterated across the internet when reading articles, or people talking, is that the animals are not going to be pulled across to Red Dead Online. That they're not going to have.
Mention that, yeah.
Because GTA Online didn't have the animals that were in the single player game were not a part of GTA Online.
I imagine they would have to, because it's such a major part of the game.
It's such integral. There's something like 170 something species of...
there's compendium, and I think there's... I want to say 500 and something animals.
Yeah, the 170 stuff you can hunt that doesn't include like birds and fish and other bits and pieces.
I imagine they would have to, because you'd want to go out on like little hunting parties with your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'd completely understand that and imagine that. That would be awesome to go out on hunting treks to find, like in-game time, a couple days of hunting and walking through and trying to find what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm very eager to see what they do, but I'm also very concerned because I loved Red Dead Online, like the original Red Dead Online, but GTA Online was really not my jam.
Are you worried that with, PlayStation has this exclusivity deal with Red Dead, like it has this kind of exclusive content, that it's getting for Red Dead, but it only really seems to be multiplayer stuff.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
So I haven't read into a whole lot of that deal
so
myself.
the majority of the exclusive content is multiplayer stuff, which it kind of I'm going to say it kind of worries me a little bit, because where GTA, I didn't really care that GTA never got any story DLC. I was like, GTA Online kind of fits that, whatever. Yeah. I don't think Red Dead Online is going to fit the same kind of space as GTA Online did.
Yeah.
I don't think Red Dead Online is going to have the amount of... GTA Online got to freaking wacky levels of vehicles. You got the Knight Rider car, the Batmobile got added. I'm interested, and I'm interested to see how much of shark cards get added into Red Dead and everything, and
it'll be very interesting to see what they do, because Red Dead like I'm sure a lot of people will pick it up because of the name and the hype and stuff around it. But it'll be interesting to see that people will stick with it. Like, is the GTA Online Fortnite type crowd, is that going to be the type of game for them? Is that what they want to stick with and play?
Yep, exactly. And I think I want to say to people is, if you're listening to this and you either haven't picked it up or you're picked it up and you're playing it at home, it's okay to dislike this game.
Exactly.
It's okay for you to go, this is not the game for me. And I think that's the biggest thing. I've seen so many forum posts of people going, I'm not liking this game. Like, is something wrong? Am I doing something wrong? It might not be the game for you. And that's
that's exactly right. Like, never be ashamed of what you like and dislike. Like,
exactly. Like, Dylan from the channel has already said, I don't like these games, so I'm not getting it. And that's completely fine. 100% okay. Yep. You might want to go play Call of Duty Blackout with him. I don't really want to because,
because he's a console person.
Playing a first-person shooter on a console. Sorry, we're on a PlayStation podcast. I shouldn't.
I'll tell you what, though. Playing with my Xbox One Elite on PS4 is very liberating.
Is it? It's very freeing?
It is.
It's freeing. Sounds, because that's the thing. That's the decision for me. I don't know if I'm getting on my Xbox One X or on my PlayStation.
Well, if you get on PlayStation, we can ride out as a gang.
Exactly. That's my thing. I think I have more people that I care about on PlayStation.
Oh.
That I care about playing with on PlayStation. I have friends on Xbox, but I don't play games with them anyway. Like, I'm just like, it's not like I'm going to make a change for Red Dead. So, any closing thoughts when it comes to Red Dead Redemption 2?
Give it a chance, but also, if what we've talked about doesn't sound up your alley, like, don't feel yourself compelled to go out and play it. Like, it is a masterpiece in my eyes so far, but also it is also a very acquired taste as well.
Yeah, exactly. And this has been our discussion so far on Red Dead. We might come back with the future. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do a discussion more about it when a couple
Maybe
more
in 3 or 4 years or when I finish
3 and 4 years when we finish the game eventually. Yeah, exactly. We'll do a wrap-up or a conversation about it. But this has been your Platinum Explosion episode for this week. I know you're saying to me, Ciaran, Nick, where's our trophy stuff? You got it when I was like, the Spider-Man
trophies.
Trophies.
There you go.
All about it. Go do the Spider-Man DLC trophies. Every trophy does count, but they just mean a little bit more. So when I get
the DLC and New Game Plus trophies don't count.
Exactly.
So
and remember,
it's kind of a confusing system.
For anybody counting for the great trophy war between Dylan and myself, every one trophy I get is worth about 20 trophies that Dylan gets. So just maybe do the math on what I've got so far, what Dylan's got so far. We'll see who's in the lead, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for Platinum Explosion, the Explosion Network's #1 PlayStation podcast of the Oceanias. I think that's what Dylan says.
Yeah.
But please make sure you like, subscribe, follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast on any platform. Give us one of those reviews, those like 5-star reviews. Give us 5 stars. Tell us, we need more Ciaran and Nick on episodes. Say that. And you might get the reward every now and then. Might be a thing. Give us a review. We love
little morsel.
We love seeing the feedback. Give us a follow on Twitter at ExplosionPod. You can find me on @YourBoyRingo. And Nick, where can the people find you?
You can find me in the Wild West.
In the wiki wild west. Jim West Desperado. No, you don't need to hear anymore. Or on the Twitters @Lord Empire. Add him. You should do it. Make me happy if you add him. It'd be pretty funny. But make sure you stick around for explosionnetwork.com. Check out all of our podcasts. If you want to hear a bit more about esports and me talking about it, check out the early late nights, which happens on twitch.tv/explosionnetwork. Tonight, people, along with a whole bunch of other content that comes out with it. It has been fantastic talking to you and being on Platinum Explosion again. Make sure you follow us everywhere, youtube.com/Explosion Network. Go to the website, explosionnetwork.com. Thank you to anybody who joined us at PAX, to anybody who said hello, to anybody we missed. We're so sorry. We'll catch you next time. We'll find you. Tell us, and we'll find you next time. It was a fantastic event, and if you want to see any of our PAX coverage, go to the website, go to the YouTube or the Twitters. Cherie's searching for some badges, some pins that she didn't get. She's trying hard.
Help her complete a set.
Help her complete a set of gym badges. But this has been Platinum Explosion. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, today, tomorrow, wherever you are. And remember, Jim West is a desperado, and you should be Will Smith in Red Dead Redemption 2. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye.
Wow, that's a tremendous looking trophy.
It is October, and that means it is going to be the biggest month in video gaming for Australia, with PAX Australia just coming up later this month. Of course, the Explosion Network is going to be there, giving you all the greatest coverage that you can expect from the event, from everything from the panels, the games, what's happening day to day, articles, videos, all sorts of fun things on social media. It's going to be great. That means you need to head on over to explosionnetwork.com. Make sure you keep your eyes locked there. Bookmark our PAX page that's available there. Make sure you're following our Facebooks and Twitter accounts, Instagrams, all those fun things. And if you're heading over to PAX, we'll see you there.